Hello, everybody. It's time for books 3 and 4 of the Iliad and the Odyssey. If you remember last books, we had Achilles was upset and he wanted Apollo to make Agamemnon lose, one of the Greeks to lose, because his favorite slave was taken from him. So, in a dream, Agamemnon, I believe, he had a fake dream about how he'd be successful and he needs to attack now. And that's where we're picking up. The two armies were getting ready to clash in an epic big clash. So book 3 starts off. As the two armies drew nearer to each other, Priam ordered Helen to meet him on the walls. "You sent for me?" asked the beautiful woman, for whom so much blood had been shed. "What is it you wish, O father and king?" "I want you to show me one by one who the Greek leaders are. Who is that man with the shining armor who walks ahead of them all?" "That is Agamemnon, my brother-in-law and overlord of the Greeks." "And those two men who lead such compact divisions, who are they?" "One is as tall as a giant, the other is shorter but broader in the shoulders. The first one is the very powerful and most valiant Telamonian Aias. The other is Odysseus, king of Ithaca." There they are, as a picture of the caption. It says, "From the walls of Troy, Priam and Helen watched the Greek army." "And that one so noble and proud?" asked Priam again. Troubled, Helen replied, "That is Menelaus, my husband, from whom your son Paris abducted me." At that moment Paris himself stepped forward from the Trojan ranks. Paris, who had caused the war by abducting Helen, was very handsome in his flashing armor. He looked at the Greeks with arrogance, as though he wanted to defy them all. But when amongst them he noticed the tall figure of Menelaus, all his boldness disappeared. He halted, lowered his spear, and meekly turned round to join his companions. Hector, who had noticed all this, exclaimed with contempt, "Paris, aren't you ashamed of yourself? You walked high and mighty ahead of everyone. You seemed ready to take on the whole Greek army by yourself. But when you saw Menelaus, your knees faltered and your heart quivered. Yet it is for you that we are fighting. Don't you forget it." Hurt by these harsh words, Paris replied, "No, brother, I shan't forget it. I admit I was frightened, but it was only a fleeting moment of weakness. Listen to me. I shall go and challenge Menelaus to a duel. He and I alone will fight, and so we shall decide the fate of the war. If he wins, return Helen to him, and let the war be over. If I win, the Greeks must leave." Hector then ordered everyone to a halt. In a clatter of arms and rising clouds of dust, the Trojans stopped, keeping in battle ranks. The Greeks also came to a halt. Agamemnon stepped forward on his own and shouted, "Hector, what do you want? Why have you stopped? Do you want to surrender?" "That you can never hope for, Agamemnon," replied Hector. "Paris is challenging your brother Menelaus to single combat. Greece on one side, Troy on the other. The winner will decide the outcome of the war. Do you agree?" Agamemnon agreed. And while the two armies stood motionless and silent in their ranks, Paris and Menelaus advanced towards each other. The Trojan war could well have ended there and then. Wielding their spears, the two men confronted each other. The first to strike was Paris. He threw his lance, which whistled toward his opponent. Menelaus raised his shield and warded off the blow. Then in his turn he launched his spear and struck his enemy's shield. At the same time they both unsheathed their swords and went for each other. In the breathless silence only the clanging of the blades was heard. Paris was the younger and stronger of the two, but he was not as brave as Menelaus, whose thirst for revenge swelled his heart and increased his strength. Menelaus struck with such fury that his sword shattered against Paris' shield. A whisper rose from the spectator. Menelaus was disarmed. Paris could easily kill him. No. Before the young Trojan could move forward and strike, Menelaus lunged at him with his bare hands, caught him by his helmet, and tugged at it with all his might. Paris tried to react, but the strap was strangling him. The sword dropped from his hand. Menelaus pulled again and again till the strap broke, and the Greek fell to the ground with the empty helmet in his arms. He jumped back to his feet, picked up his spear, and with a cry leapt forward to stab his hated rival. But he was no longer there. Paris had vanished. Aphrodite, the goddess of love, who had always protected the young Trojan prince, had protected him once more at this critical moment. She had surrounded him with a cloud of dust and had carried him off. Menelaus' spear sank into the ground. Yet there was no doubt. The winner was the Greek. The Trojans could see that and withdrew in silence. Then Agamemnon moved forward and shouted, "Greeks, Trojans, hear me! You have all witnessed Menelaus' victory. According to our agreement, Hector must return Helen to us, and may there now be peace." Book 4. Whilst all this was taking place on the plain, the gods were once more conferring on Mount Olympus. Frowning, Zeus said, Athene and Hera, to be sure, are on Menelaus' side, but they are content to watch and smile upon him. Whereas you, Aphrodite, you descended to save Paris, although he had been defeated, and therefore deserved to perish. I am tired of this war. Let us put an end to it. Let us return Helen to Menelaus, and let it be over. To this Hera replied, No, I don't want to see peace restored until Troy is destroyed. What harm have Priam and his sons caused that you want to see them all destroyed? Beware, Hera. If you want Troy to perish, perhaps one day I shall wipe out a city that is dear to you. So be it, if that is your wish, exclaimed the angry goddess. You can even destroy Athens or Sparta or Argos, my beloved cities. I shall not oppose your will, but do not oppose mine. Right now, let them break the truce and resume combat. Athene, it is up to you. Think of something. I want to see Troy destroyed. Athena swiftly left Olympus and descended to earth only a moment after Agamemnon had asked Hector to keep to the agreement. Assuming the appearance of a Trojan warrior, Laodocus, the goddess came up to Pandarus, a very skilled archer, who seldom missed his aim, and whispered to him, Pandarus, do not hesitate. If you love Troy, if you want to be honored, if you want to win this war by yourself, then shoot. The time is right. Look, there is Menelaus, still on his own where the duel took place. Kill him with an arrow. You can do it, and you shall reap glory from it. The war is over. Do not hesitate. Pandarus was a man of honor and courage, but Athena's words impressed and influenced him. Yes, the pacts had been solemnly drawn between Agamemnon and Hector, but it would be worthwhile to break them if, with one arrow only, the war could be stopped and Troy saved. Unseen, Pandarus snatched a long arrow to his mighty bow, took aim, drew back the string, released it. The arrow was sent whistling through the air and would have pierced Menelaus' heart had not Athena, as quick as lightning, diverted it. The arrow hit the prince on the side, through the studded armor, cut the leather belt, and sank to the flesh. Menelaus let out a brief cry and fell to his knees. Already the blood was spilling on the earth. In a great uproar of fury and indignation, the Greeks drew together, brandishing their weapons. Treason! Treason! They shouted, as Agamemnon bent over his brother lying on the ground. Fetch Machaon, the doctor. Tell him to be quick. In the meantime, let us prepare. The Trojans will pay for this. No, brother, he added, seeing that Menelaus tried to pull out the arrow from his side. Let Machaon tend to it. You shall not die from this wound, and you shall fight again. The other Greek princes rushed about while the whole army moved threateningly. The battle was about to start. Meanwhile, a herald had hurriedly gone to fetch Machaon, son of Asclepius, the great physician. Come quickly, he said. Menelaus has been wounded by an arrow. You must save him. Machaon, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I need to look at it. Machaon. Machaon hastened to the field where Menelaus lay, blood streaming from his wound. His friends had gathered close around him to protect and comfort him. Making his way through them, Machaon bent down, took a firm hold of the arrow, and with a resolute pull removed it from the flesh. Do not fear, Menelaus, he said. The wound is not as deep as you think. Then he removed the prince's belt and armor. I can now dress your wound. The enemy is coming, someone shouted suddenly. Indeed, the Trojans, led by Hector, were advancing, ready for the attack. Recovering from their bewilderment, the Trojans had reorganized their ranks for battle. They had hoped, of course, that the war would have been over with the outcome of the duel between Paris and Menelaus. Not everyone approved of Pandarus' actions. But, since the arrow had been shot and blood had been shed and peace treaty violated, it was clear that they must fight again. And fight they would, for Troy must be defended at all costs. And although Paris was a cowardly warrior, it was worth fighting for a woman as beautiful as Helen. Forward, my friends! Hector called out, brandishing his sword. Our destiny lies in the battle. Hearing this, Agamemnon unsheathed his shining sword and left Menelaus in the care of Machaon. Let the Trojans come! It is certainly not the Trojans who break peace treaties. Let the Trojans come then. It is certainly not to the Trojans who break peace treaties that Zeus will lend his help, he shouted. Before mounting his war chariot, to which were harnessed two splendid, restless horses, the king passed his troops in review and addressed them thus. The time has come, sons of Greece. Here our fate shall be decided. If we win, we will enter Troy. If we lose, the enemy will reach our camp, set fire to our ships, and we shall lose all hope of sailing back to our country. Odysseus, I am relying on you. Idomeneus, king of Crete, be strong in battle. Aias, son of Oileus, Agamemnon went on. Telamonian, Aias, heroes, if I had more leaders as worthy as you, the war would have been over long ago. Nestor, my friend, fight by my side. Diomedes, stand high on your chariot and strike boldly. Greeks, let's go to battle. That ends the book 4. We'll pick up at book 5, which will have seem to have that epic clash that they're kind of building up to there, huh? Those gods are meddling. They cause trouble everywhere they seem to go. Please check and see what the questions are for the prompt today, guys.